Hi, everybody. Welcome to our channel, our Scientology stories, Peeling the Onion. My name is Mark Fisher, and we have a very special show for you today and a very special guest. But first, I want to introduce my co-host, Janis Gillham Grady. Hi, Janis. How are you today?
Good day, Mark. Good day, everyone. It's a good day. It's a sunny day here in Vegas. I think it was 115 degrees this morning when I was out in the pool. But I got my relaxation in and I'm good to go.
Fabulous. Janis, can you move your mic a little closer to you? Your microphone.
Yeah, I'm right over it. Is that okay?
All right, cool. Anyway, anybody, we have the live chat open, so let us know where you're watching from. You know, what countries, what cities, anything like that, while we get people in here. Goldie is in moderating our chat. If you have any questions, we're going to do question and answers. So if you have a question, please write the word question in front of whatever the question is, so it's easy for us to spot in the chat and we can start and not miss it. All right. You're also welcome to super chat us and super sticker. If you want to donate to the channel, that's a great way to do so. And we would appreciate any donations that come that way. And we will get to your questions and answers. Okay. We see people here from Glasgow, Scotland, Kansas City, Missouri. Let's see.
How about Clearwater, Brazil?
We got South Africa in. Greetings from the Netherlands. Let's see what else we got here. Clearwater, Brazil. Bloomington, Indiana. We've got Sweden, Austin, Texas, Arizona, Central Arkansas. We're all over the world.
Tasmania.
And we just want to welcome everybody. All right, before we get to our special guest, we have to start with our first feature here, Janis, all right? Oh, the other thing I was going to mention too, Janis, we're going to do a giveaway too before we go to question and answers, right? And we're going to give away one of your canvas bags, is that right?
Yes, we are. The canvas bag.
And it's got Janis's book on the front and the back. And we'll do that before we get to the questions and answers. And we see a lot of people coming into our video right now, our live stream, and we really appreciate you viewing. Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to start off here with our video with onion peeling news this week. And we've got our peeled onion over there on the right that was made by Bonnie, right, Janis?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so a lot of people were asking last week about, boy, Mark, you've got a lot of Hawaiian shirts, and I haven't repeated a Hawaiian shirt yet on any of our videos yet, and I've collected them over the years. And they said, how long have you been wearing Hawaiian shirts? Well, I have proof here for you right now, okay? This is Mark Fisher rocking the Hawaiian shirt since 1962. That's me on the left. I'm 4 years old, and that's in San Diego. And the reason I know it's 1962 is because to my left, my mother's holding my baby brother, Doug, who had just been born. So I was 4 years old when that happened. So that's when I know it started. And then in the middle
this
photo,
is before you even moved to Hawaii.
We didn't move to the middle one is when we moved to Hawaii.
So San Diego, you started before you even got to Hawaii.
Yes, I started in San Diego, right. And then the middle one is when I was in Hawaii. These are school photos. And then the one on the right also is in Hawaii. So I've worn Hawaiian shirts most of my life. And you know what it is. They're cool, they're comfortable, and you stand out in a crowd. And that's the great thing about a Hawaiian shirt. So anyway, I wanted to share that with everybody that we do have proof of that, okay?
Right.
The next slide is, this is my baby Misha when she was 2 months old. Everybody loves our dogs, and she's the dog that you hear barking whenever it's on me, and I've got to let her out. But she's now 3 years old, but this is what she looked like when I first got her. She was 2 months old. And then this is me holding her. And then the picture of Janis holding Misha. She was such a
you brought her over to visit.
Really cute and just a sweet little girl. And unfortunately, she's a little under the weather today. So hopefully she won't be doing any barking, but I'm hoping she'll feel better by the end of the day. So anyway, so that's my dog, Misha. And then Janis, who's this?
That is Moose. And he's got a bone in his mouth, and he was just looking so adorable. I had to snap the photo and show it to everyone. He's 107 pounds.
Wow.
And he's just a big love, very gentle soul.
Both of your dogs are. I was just over there last night, and they bark when you come in the door, but then as soon as they're done barking, all they want to do is get in your face and have you pet them.
Yeah, well, Rocky's more hyper, where Moose is he's just calm about everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we also have something we want to announce that happened 2 days ago. We hit 5,000 subscribers, and that's we want to thank everybody who's subscribing to our channel. If you haven't already and you're a new viewer, just slam, or what do you say? Slam the
smash or slam
that subscribe button, because we want to keep growing our channel. We've done this in about 10 weeks. We're at 5,000 subscribers. Actually, the count today is 5,350. So we're really proud of that. But that's really due to you all watching and telling your friends and catching our videos. So we want to thank everybody. We hit 5,000 subscribers, and the next goal is 10,000, of course. Another goal that we hit also this week is 100,000 views of our YouTube videos in that same time period. We're actually at 100,507 views or something like that. And that also, shows that people are watching and liking our channel from all over the world. And again, it's a tribute to our viewers, and we want to thank you for watching everything that we do. Right, Janis?
Yes, right, Mark.
Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, well, I want to go back to the subject of the Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, yeah?
Because I have had some clothes left over from Paul passing. Paul, my husband, passed away in December 2021. And I've slowly been going through all his stuff. And I have 12 Hawaiian shirts that I'm trying to find a good home for. Not 12 Hawaiian, 4 Hawaiian shirts. I'm trying to find a good home for. So if any viewers out there don't mind having secondhand shirts, I do have 4 Hawaiian shirts.
What size?
I'm trying to find a home for.
What size?
They're size large.
Okay, so they're large Hawaiian shirts.
If anyone is interested in having 4 or having 1, just email me at janisgilhamgrady@gmail.com, and I will mail them to you for whoever wants them. They're a size large. But I want them to go, be desired or used or whatever, but I don't want to just put them in the trash or anything. So I'd like them to go to a good home.
Well, that's very generous of you, Janis, and I'm sure whoever gets them will appreciate. They're nice shirts, and I'm sure they'll appreciate them. Okay.
I have even more shirts if someone wants more shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anyway, we want to thank everybody for watching, and I'm going to introduce our special guest, okay? And this is her right here. Our today's special guest is Carriere de la Carriere, and many of you know her. She was a highly trained Class 12 Scientology auditor in the Sea Organization, and since then she has been a prominent critic, and she's spoken out for years about the abuses in Scientology. And Janis, anything else you want to say before I bring her on when I introduce her?
Karen and I have known each other since the early 70s. We were mates on the Apollo together. She also joined our family after my mother passed away. She married my stepfather, and I guess you'd say she became my stepmother. But yeah, Karen is family, and we do have fun times together. So,
all right, so
let's bring her on.
Without further ado, here's Carriere de la Carriere. Hi, Karen. Let me take this off. There she is.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Karen.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. Doing real good.
Good
Love
to
those
see
pictures
you.
of the dogs. I wanted to just jump in and give Janis a little tribute, a little acknowledgement. There is no one in the world. Jani Grady is one of a kind. She has connected up the ex-Scientologists, especially ex-Apollo, and formed a real solid community. Janis never gives up on you. She'll send you email whether you respond or not. When I was still in, Janis faithfully sent me a birthday and Christmas card. But shh, Janis had a live-in spy. Janis and Terry had a private investigator of the cult living with them. And apparently this guy accessed her email and saw that she had sent me a birthday card.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was summoned to OSA Int with a mandatory, in those days. I obeyed. And I was ordered to OSA Int. A little bit in anxiety. And I was taken to a conference room. And the door burst open, and Mike Sutter, ooh, I wish I had a picture of him. Mike Sutter came into the conference room. And he slammed whose side are you on? Janis Grady or us? I had just been gone. I was just out
Karen,
of
we can't hear you. You're too far from the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. My
There you go.
slamming, I wanted to show how Mike Sutter slammed the conference table. How dare I be in touch with Janis Grady? How dare I? He said, there's a sec checker waiting for you. You are to go see the cashier, pay, and get 12 and a half hours of sec checks on why you and Janis Grady are connected. Start.
Wow. I didn't know this.
You asked me for stories.
Yeah.
So, Jenny, your Christmas and birthday card cost me, I bogged, and it ended up costing me like $25,000.
Oh,
wow.
$25,000 because Janis Grady spoke to me. That is the cult of Scientology.
That shows I am powerful.
Absolutely. Okay, so my tribute is that Janis would send you a birthday card no matter what. And she always linked us all together. So thank you, Jenny. You're just one of a kind.
You're welcome. I enjoy staying in touch with everyone. The old Apollo crew are like family to me. You know, I was a teenager all those years, and they were like uncles and aunts and older brothers or sisters. And hi, Donna, you're included. Donna Tidman is in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Jenkins.
Okay, now.
Go ahead, Karen.
Janis Grady recruited me for the Sea Organization.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did.
Janis I bought some hours as what they call an FCCI, flag case coverage. I bought some hours just to have flag auditing.
Mm-hmm.
And Janis found me in the bowels of do you remember where it was on the Apollo?
Yeah, I thought it was on B deck forward.
Mm.
Oh, you thinking you're in the tween decks?
I don't remember. It was a sort of alcove.
Yeah, I think it was outside the purser office on B deck forward.
Okay.
Do you remember when that was?
Early 70s.
73,
yeah. So Janis comes in and says, the Commodore, when a messenger came to you, it was usually a message from the boss. Mm-hmm. And she said, the Commodore says, have you finished your FCCI auditing? And have you signed your billion-year contract yet? So Hubbard invited me to join the Sea Org and sent Jenny.
Yeah.
To have me sign.
Yeah, Karen was there as public, a paying public, and she got audited and sat around, talked with the other paying public, and somehow LRH spotted her, and he would see us in the folders too at that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he knew who she was and that she was a trained auditor from St. Hill.
I was a
And
class
so-
8 in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, Class 8 auditor.
Karen, when did you get in Scientology? Did you get in Scientology at St. Hill, or where did you get in Scientology?
London, 1970, London.
Okay.
They had a little franchise there, and I went to St. But I were, in that mindset, Hubbard was like second only to God.
Bigger than life, right?
Yeah. But
So, of course, Karen complied.
yeah, I did. And it was.
Can I show a photo here?
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is the Flagship Apollo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next
And
photo.
wait a minute. If you look at this picture and look at the right, you'll see where there's that mask going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the next picture, Karen is standing right next to that.
Okay. This Janis, say what this is, okay?
Okay, this here, you'll see on the left, there's L. Ron Hubbard, Commodore, and then you see the arrow is pointing at Karen standing by the mast, and there she is.
Yeah, zoomed in.
And this was one of the nights when the Commodore was putting on a show for all the crew and showing them the different photographs he'd been taking when he was ashore doing the photo shoots. Yeah,
wow.
And that's Karen's right there.
Karen, what was it like on the ship when you were on the ship as a public person?
Well, we had a special place to eat. It was good. It was fun. There was a camaraderie. Remember that we weren't apprised of the darker side, and we didn't know. I mean, I didn't even know that Janis had been sort of confiscated from her mother, so to speak, without having a normal childhood. Janis and Terry, as youngsters, were just serving L. Ron Hubbard. I want to tell you that I had a very rude awakening. Whoa! One day I had a cabin to myself. I was Apollo public. Once I was Sea Org. I was put. It was smelly. I had one rack. There were people. Oh my God!
You don't move to the woman's dorm.
Yes. No, not woman's dorm.
No.
They still treated. It was 8 of us with Jeannie Kissinger. She was. Do you remember her?
Okay.
There was a woman's dorm for privileged.
Yeah, that was probably down in the steward's quarters. That's where they had lesser amounts.
But it was still smelly.
Yes.
There was no air conditioning on the ship at all. And people perspired, only allowed 30-second showers. You couldn't really scrub yourself. So if you're dirty laundry and your sweat and everything. So from a privileged cabin to a bunk.
Right.
And even my auditing, Leon Steinberg was my auditor. Like I was a Sea Org member. Hey, I would be fitted into a slot, even though I paid for it. I was Sea Org now.
Right. Yep.
Oh, Jenny.
Yep. Now, did you ever have to do sea watches?
Yes.
And what did you do on sea watch?
I was trained. I was trained as a lookout. I learned how to tie all those knots. It was complex. I don't know if I would still remember. There are some very complex knots that seamen learn. I did my able-bodied seaman check sheet and everything. But I want to tell you that I don't know if I'm jumping out of turn. I liked a guy called Pat Broeker.
Yes.
Now, when I say I audited him. I don't mean in any second dynamic sense. I just want to, Jenny, I just want to reminisce on this guy who's been in hiding. Pat Broeker, where art thou? Where art thou?
I have a picture from back in the Apollo days, okay?
Yeah.
That's him on the left, right?
Yeah, that's Pat on the left. And in the middle there is Franny Broeker, who later became Franny Friedman. She married Frankie Friedman. And then she married Fred Harris. And
Yeah.
last I saw her, she was Franny Harris working at Author Services, married to Fred. But then I later heard she was books exec int up at Gold. So I don't know what she is anymore. And then next to her is Louise Quirion, who was one of the Commodore's aides, along with Franny.
That's not Louis
That's
Schechter?
Pat.
Yes,
Huh?
Louis Schechter.
Louis Schechter?
She's
Louis
known as Louis
Schechter.
Schechter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but back to, so Pat was married to Franny, and Pat and Franny had broken up. He had been in PAC in Los Angeles for a long time after Franny came to the ship. And the whole time LRH was in New York, Franny was on the ship and Pat was in Los Angeles or Boston. And when LRH came back and found out they'd been separated for over 9 months, he immediately ordered Pat to the ship because Franny was shacking up with somebody else. So he ordered Pat to the ship and told them to try and get their marriage repaired. Well, after several months of trying to do that, it didn't work. So Pat found someone else and he needed to go get a divorce. So to get a divorce, he felt he had to go to Las Vegas and get a divorce there. So then, Karen, you come along.
When you want to leave the ship for any reason at all, the instant thought is you're trying to blow. And you have to prove you're already guilty of maybe having intentions. You have to prove with what they call security check, interrogatory questions. And you have to prove that you are not intending to blow. So Pat's folder was dumped on my rack, and we went through all these questions. Are you secretly planning to leave the Apollo? Have you made plans with anybody else? Have you talked to someone? I mean, it just went on and on. Pat was clean as a whistle. He had no intention of blowing. But I really tuned into his universe, and I found him to be, wouldn't you agree, Jenny, a gentle, kind soul?
Yes, most certainly.
Almost a dichotomy of Miscavige, who took the reins.
Yeah.
Oh, God, one day we've got to talk about the whole coup. I know Mark knows, there was a coup. But you just wonder if Pat took how Scientology would have rolled out with Pat Broeker at the helm.
Definitely different.
Yeah, totally different. Anyway, now, Pat passed his sec check. He gave me a great thank you when he was allowed to go off the ship. And then...
Well, let me intercept here.
Yes.
Because, well, Pat, having to get divorced, it takes a while, and he went to Las Vegas. And I'm sure Pat was drinking up a storm and gambling a lot while there, because once he got there, he found out he had to live there 6 weeks in order to qualify for a Las Vegas quickie divorce.
Right.
So he now wanted to marry Trudy, and Trudy's in a panic because his 3-week leave is up and Pat's not back. So then the pressure is on Karen as having been the sec checker. Go ahead, Karen.
When you're the last person on that confessional folder and the person vanishes, the finger is pointed at you missed the withhold. You go to the RPF. No, but here's what happened. Pat is lollygagging in Las Vegas, as Janis explained. And guess what happens? The Apollo gets stoned in Funchal. And there's this rock concert of this explosion where the natives are chanting CIA, CIA, which was so ridiculous. We just shook our heads in disbelief. It was a Libs Day, Porto Starboard. I was off with Monica Pignotti on the island. And
So was I.
Oh, you remember then? It was a
Oh, yeah.
day off. It was a day
Yeah.
off. Those days you get a day off every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, so the ship pulls. We take a smaller boat to the ship, and Hubbard decides overnight, we're leaving. We're leaving the Mediterranean. And we cross the Atlantic in total darkness. They didn't allow any lights on the Apollo. We crept out and we crossed the Atlantic. Now, Pat Broeker can't get back to Madeira. The ship isn't even around. And
he doesn't know where it is.
And now we're in the Caribbean. And then we don't land. That's a whole other story Janis love to tell you
Yeah, I'll
about.
cover that another time.
Also, my punishment for just mentioning when everyone was bonded, no one was allowed to tell anyone we were going to the USA, but everyone, there's a huge story there, Jenny. But anyway, now I'm in panic mode. We're in the Caribbean, couple of weeks, no Pat Broeker. And Jeff Walker, I loved Jeff towards the end. I really loved Jeff. But Jeff Walker snarled at me.
There he is right there.
Yeah, intern soup, my intern soup. He came right up to me and said, Pat Broeker has not returned after your sec check. You didn't say anything more, no threat, but I knew what that meant. And I was biting my fingernails, come on back. Because if Pat had blown, and I had specifically asked those questions, are you intending to flee? Blow in the Sea Org means getting out of there, escaping. It's just another word for escape. But without permission. The checklist hadn't been signed. So I was just biting my nails. Eventually, Pat got hold of, after did what he did in Vegas, got this divorce, whatever. And in those days, they called CLO FOLO. And FOLO knew where the ship was. And eventually, Pat came back. You won't believe I felt the relief I felt. The mountain of heaviness sitting on my back vanished.
Well,
but Jani, don't you think Pat was a super cool, nice person?
Yeah, he was.
I do.
He and I and Alan Voss, I think that's the next picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah. Well, Pat there was getting married to Trudy, but before he started dating Trudy, Pat and I and Alan, who's also there, and a bunch of other people, in Madeira, we used to go up to the Sheraton Hotel and just hang out at the swimming pool and pretend we were guests at the hotel.
That's really cool. Alan is the redhead on the right side.
Yes.
Pat is the little bit shorter one. That's Pat Broeker.
Yeah.
Now that's how he mates. Yeah. That's how he looked like when I was auditing him. The younger Pat Broeker. Of course, you could see the Pat Broeker face in the later images, right? You have some later images, Mark?
Yeah, well, there's one more. This is him with his new wife, Trudy, at that time. That's Pat and Trudy after they got married. Because I remember Trudy in a panic when Pat wasn't back, and and then finally it was like, well, he has to be in Vegas 6 weeks, and then she calmed down. But yeah, they got married in November '74 in Nassau in the Bahamas, because it was the double wedding with my sister. I showed some photos of that in one of the messenger videos.
Yeah, Pat and Trudy. Well, David Miscavige was paranoid about Pat Broeker. And he paid 2 private investigators $12 million over a period of 20 years to stalk and follow. These 2 private investigators were ex-cops, ex-police officers.
I have a photograph of them. This is them right here.
That's them. And they had every phone record of Pat Broeker. They went through his waste bins, his trash. They talked to all his neighbors. There's no data whether Pat knew he was being followed and stalked. But listen, parishioner money that is extorted out of the public, extorted cash, $12 million goes to ex-police officers to stalk a former Sea Org member,
Right.
because David Miscavige has paranoia on Pat possibly coming back, because there was this issue that Pat and Annie were to take over the helms of the Sea Organization.
Yeah, and
Right.
these two guys, just so you know, they followed him not just from in the United States, but apparently Pat Broeker moved over to Europe, I think Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic.
Yes.
And these guys went there too.
Yes, absolutely.
And they would find residences right next to Pat and listen and eavesdrop, and they followed him for a long time. And the only reason that we know about them is because Scientology owed them money and didn't pay them. So then they came out, and then they got interviewed by the Tampa Bay Times, and then they actually sued Scientology to get paid the money that they were owed.
They were lopped off because after 20 years, they weren't producing. Pat was not some evil guy. He was not going to places like the Bunny Ranch in Las Vegas. He wasn't doing, growing marijuana and selling. He wasn't doing anything that in those days could have got him in trouble. He was clean.
Yeah, so I think he was going to vet school to become a vet.
Yes, horse equine.
A veterinarian.
Yes.
He loved horses. So, So, Pat Broeker, where art thou? Come back. Get in touch with Jenny. So, Pat, there's a lot of people that do love you. And I don't know if you know by now or not, but you were stalked by these two PIs for 20 years. And finally, these two ended up with Ray Jeffrey, and the church settled quickly, wanted them muzzled and gagged so they could never talk to us.
These two guys here.
These two ex-cops got a nice settlement to shut up.
Yeah.
Not talk to anyone.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, Karen, I don't know if you know this, but according to Marty, when he came out, these two guys were the precursor to the private investigators that were sicked on Janis and me and our group here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Because Miscavige was so thrilled with the information he was getting from these PIs about Pat Broeker, he wanted to know what we were up to in Las Vegas. And that's why David LeBeau was sicked on us, and we're going to do a video on that in the future too. But it's just a crazy. They use tax-exempt money. This is money that taxpayers are basically subsidizing this type of activity, and this is not a church activity. You wouldn't find, I don't think, a Catholic church or a Baptist church or doing the same thing. It's just nuts.
Yeah. Very much so.
Someone just comments they pay them off with paintings.
Anyway, we got the other part of it too. I don't know if you heard, Karen. We just got recently, just this last week, Mark Headley sent us the OSA files that Mike Rinder, I guess, took with him when he left, that had our names in them. And this is from 2005, 2006. And I was proud to find out that my code name at OSA and with David Miscavige is Mofo. So I'm a bad mofo. They don't want to mess with me.
And you know what I thought was funny is I went through the documents Mark sent me, and in there was a tape transcript of LRH talking to Lois Riesdorf and Gail Irwin. And this was a talk he did in January of 1980, going over the international stats. And the reason my name why they sent it to me as in my file is because in there they bring up staff pay, and Gail says to LRH, well, Janis just got back from leave. And that's the only thing it says on me. And here it was mixed in with files from 2006. So you're talking 26 years later. So I'm reading through this whole transcript, trying to figure out, well, why would they have me in there? Or, you know, have it with my files? Well, it was because of that. But I noticed what nobody else would have really seen. And that's where LRH makes a comment about Dave Misk. David Miscavige was referred to sometimes as Misk or Dave Misk. And in there, LRH is looking at the Sea Org stats, and Dave at the time was Watchdog Committee member for Sea Org. And there was some trouble there on the Sea Org book sales. And LRH comments, Dave Misk has some out ethics going on. And says someone needs to find out what his out ethics is. And it's sitting there writing these files, and OSA is totally missing this and obviously not knowing who Dave Misk is 26 years later. I just thought that was something I wanted to comment on.
What a nice anecdote.
You know, Karen, the funny thing about these files from 2005, 2006 is, I'm sure you remember, an ex-Sea Org message board was set up on Yahoo, by a friend of ours, Mick Wenlock, and a bunch of us, you know, joined. It was a private group. It was a message board, private, on Yahoo, and they got their neck twisted, Scientology and OSA, over this, the fact that we were all posting and getting reconnected. You know what I mean? And public enemy number one was me and two other people. And so they decided they were going to try and destroy us over just commenting in a private chat group. It was so funny when you read these things. And, you know, it just goes to show that OSA is basically following everything. Because the other thing Janis and I talked about as well, they have all sorts of information. They knew who was going to be at your birthday, right?
Yeah, they knew who was coming to my birthday. They knew who was invited and said they weren't coming.
Yeah.
I'm like, how would they even know this? This was for my 50th birthday.
Yeah.
But somehow they knew.
I want the public to know that Scientology has a huge spy division. Scientology has, following a trait that Hubbard had, paranoia. And nothing gives them more of a mental breakdown than us all hooking up together. And now there's God knows how many. There are secret chat rooms and groups on Facebook they have no access to. There's more public ones like mine. Well, mine is Outer Banks, but we don't even care if we're infiltrated. They are toothless, they are impotent, and their public relations is in a free fall.
We got a comment here. Amy Scobie's in the house, and she said Dave Misk is still out ethics.
So true. But Karen,
hi, Amy. Nice to see you.
Big Karen and Amy was there too. But do you remember the first big event I put on? We had maybe about 100 people come to Vegas.
Yeah.
It was my sister's 60th and my dad's 87th or something birthdays. And I remember we were all coming down to go to the ballroom for the dinner. And Mark Headley was there, and he can spot a PI from a mile away.
Yeah.
And there's the PI sitting right outside the door with some sort of pen camera in his pocket. And oh boy, Mark was right onto him and followed him all the way out of the casino.
They seem to have let up somewhat on this. In the first few years I was out, they would send people to my gate, to my home. It was an intimidation thing, right? And they said, we've come here to interview Karen de la Carriere for Freedom Magazine. And so I put up security cameras. Ooh, I have state-of-the-art security cameras. Anyone comes and rings my doorbell, we have the footage. And, you know, a funny little thing, they know I do bird rescue. I got a passion for that. And I'm known in the Los Angeles area. People drop me off all kinds of birds, or I network and send them like seagulls and pelicans. I can't handle water birds. They go to the one in San Pedro and so on. So this girl comes to my door, rings the bell, and Jeffrey goes to the gate, and she said, "Oh, I have a bird for Karen." And she said, I really need to talk to Karen. And Jeffrey knew there was something. People don't arrive and say, "I really need to talk to Karen." They want the bird handled, right?
Right.
So Jeffrey said, "The bird is not available." And this is all on camera, on footage. So she says, "I want Karen to know that things are different. It's not what she thinks. It's a whole different scene in." In 10 minutes, we had the video up on my YouTube channel. They stopped. That was the end of them coming to the gate.
Right.
They thought, we are giving her footage for her channel.
Yes.
And other than the hate pages they make, that's about their only way they hit back. Hate pages. I was so moved to get a call from Mitch Broeker.
Yeah.
And he said, Karen, I want to apologize that I contributed to making hate propaganda videos on you. I can't tell you what a nice gesture that was.
I'll bet.
He was there. He was making the propaganda hate videos, and he calls me up to apologize. Thank you, Mitch Broeker. Thank you. Well received.
Mitch was a good guy.
Yeah, we just did 2 interviews with him in the last week.
Yes,
and they were highly successful. Yes. And he's still dealing with his feelings and his viewpoints on different things. But he's very articulate. He's very smart, and we really appreciated his insight. And he has a lot of current information. We're going to talk to him some more because there's more stuff that he knows about currently. Things like Miscavige and all sorts of things. Where it's pretty wild.
Well, you guys did the leaking of. Even Aaron did a quick video on it, on the on Marty's back, says David Miscavige.
Yeah.
So Mitch Broeker, wealth of information. Jenny, you nudged me to tell you a little Apollo story.
Yeah.
And I'll just go ahead and throw it in, and then we should probably move on to question and answer time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
This is the last little story.
Great story here.
They needed to send me on mission. And the way the Sea Org works it likes to send you to the country on which you have a passport. So if you're South African, you'll be sent on mission because you'll go straight through because there's no visa problem, nothing. You're a citizen of that country. So they wanted to send me to England. There was a couple of heavy duty situations, but my passport was not, the dates of it didn't work. I could be on mission, and anyway, the passport was running out. And the problem was the Apollo was already in the Caribbean, but these banana islands, Aruba, Curacao, Monet, they didn't have British embassies to give you a passport. It just wasn't working, right? So finally, the port captain, Philip Parks, rushed to me and said, look we would get in our in-basket the next few ports and the dates we were visiting. Everybody got that on it. So you knew where you were going, right, Jenny?
Yes.
And Jamaica came up. And Jamaica used to be a British colony and so on. And it did have an embassy, or what they call a British High Commission, and that issued passport. So Philip Parks gave me a bunch of money and said, don't say anything about the Apollo. Don't get into, just get your passport in and out. So I arrive at the British High Commission and it's empty. There's nothing going on. I mentioned that because they charged me a rush fee when they had no rush. They had no business. Nobody was there. they so, and they s- they asked me about the Apollo. They
they
knew,
did.
and they stamped my passport, Apollo crew. They did not, they were well informed
Yes.
about the Apollo, well informed.
Well,
And
that's why we're not supposed to go to embassies where the ship it was.
yeah, exactly. Well, I had to, they said, we're only going to give you a temporary 30-day passport. I said, that's fine. I'll be in London, Petticoat Lane, just the passport office right there, just off Petticoat Lane. Once I was in London, I could get. So I had two people really acting like they were FBI or something, really like, well, what exactly do you do on the Apollo? You're obviously not carrying cargo, and you're not tourists because you never go ashore. And I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I wasn't truly prepared to give the OTC shore story.
Right.
Anyway, I got this 30-day passport, got a taxi, but they had kept me there long. And I think they were calling the Home Office, and they were calling whoever they were calling. They just kept me there. And then they charged me a rush fee when there was no line, there was no rush. There was no. Thank God Philip Parks knew their tactics, because he gave me a real bunch of money to pay for all this. So I got this 30-day passport. Now we come to the crux of the story. Rush back in a taxi. Apollo is gone. There's no ship. It's just the most extraordinary feeling when all your life belongings are in a location, and your job and your friends, and it's vanished. And I'm on this banana island of Jamaica with little money left over from the passport money, but no one. I couldn't believe it. I just kept staring, and I thought, I know. It must be on a sea trial. Just, I was just, you make up things when you don't understand. You fill the vacuum. Perhaps it's just circling, and I waited and waited on a sea trial. So there I was with very little money, and there were no cell phones in those days.
No.
Nothing. So then I finally thought, I'll go see the harbor master. By now it was about 3:00 in the afternoon. So I went to the harbor master and said, do you know where the Apollo is going? Do you know when it left? See, that British embassy, it kept me there so long. Now, Hubbard always had lung problems. And he never stopped smoking. Those cool cigarettes had to be in every ogle. The messengers had to carry. He smoked like a chimney in spite of his lung problem. And the way the Apollo was parked, it was just opposite some kind of factory belching out poisonous fumes, which Hubbard could not stand any poisonous fumes coming his way. I mean, it wasn't healthy for anyone.
Right.
But Hubbard ordered, as soon as these fumes hit, whether he came out on prom deck or what, immediate departure. So it left. But the why it left was the poisonous belching fumes from the Jamaican chemical factory.
So how did you get back to the ship?
Oh, Mark, it was. I slowly, I just kept standing on the dock, looking out, waiting for the Apollo. And slowly, one or two others who were also trapped came back on the dock. I think Jerry Armstrong he was the purchaser, wasn't he, at one point?
He was the ship's representative.
Right. Well, I know the purchaser, I remember, but I can't even, I was so charged up. But sometimes you get a song swirling in your mind, like it's running in the background.
Yes.
And I kept getting that Rolling Stones song, "You're 2,000 light years from home." Do you remember that one? It just kept talking about being absolutely lost in space. Anyway, a person came and another person came, and finally there were like 4 of us.
Right.
And we had enough money for a hotel. Meanwhile, Philip Parks and the others, because you log out, the QM knows who's on the ship and who's off the ship. The ship realized that we were gone, and that they were gone and we were ashore. And through John Bond got involved.
He worked in the external communications office.
And they had to call every hotel to find out, and then they hooked that was, and a sort of larger than a ferry boat was. The ship never goes that far. It goes port to port to port. So we were shipped back, and that was, so to go get a passport, I was gone two and a half days.
Yeah.
That was
So you were downstat that week.
Yes, I was, and I was penalized. And I was penalized. And I was penalized that the Apollo was stamped on my passport.
Yeah, having Apollo in your passport was, it was like the worst thing that could happen to you, because then you couldn't use your passport. People went and got new passports because of it.
Yeah.
Because then trying to go into England or different places, you got pulled aside and interrogated.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, are we ready to do a giveaway before we go to questions, Janis?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to do a giveaway here, Karen. Basically, everybody jump in the chat if you want to win. This is a canvas bag with Janis's books on either side of the bag. You can use it. Jen, who won it the last time, she said she was taking it with her to the beach this weekend. She got it in the mail. So if you're interested in winning the bag, go ahead and get in the chat and say bag me, or I want the bag, or win, or whatever. Me. Doesn't matter, but we're going to do a countdown, and then we'll just randomly select somebody to win that bag, and then Janis will get your information, and then we'll send it out to you. Right, Janis?
Yes. Right, Mark?
Okay, so we're going to give you a second.
I can't see the chat. The chat is,
yeah?
Mark, the chat is invisible to me. Is there some button you can click to let me see the chat?
No, unfortunately,
okay.
We don't have a way of doing
Fair
that.
enough.
But anyway, I'm going to do a countdown here. We're going to give it a second. There's a little bit of delay, but go ahead and get in that chat. Bag me, whatever, and I'll do a countdown from 5, and then I'm just going to randomly pick one. Okay, everybody ready here? Okay, so we're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we got Beachcomber. Beachcomber, you win the bag, and it's going to be perfect for beachcombing, right, Janis?
Yes, it is. It's perfect for the beach.
So Beachcomber, what you need to do is just, you can email Janis right there at janisgillhamgrady@gmail.com. Send her your contact information and your address so that she knows where to mail it to you, and she'll ship it off to you right away. And we want to congratulate you for winning, and thank everybody else for participating and in the chat giveaway. So we're going to go to question and answers now. And what we want to do is in the comments, okay, if you've got a question, again, please write the word question in front of the comment, and that way it's easy for us to spot and we won't miss it. You're also welcome to super chat us. which is a way of donating to our channel, or super sticker us, either way. And there's also super thanks that you can do as well. Anyway, we appreciate the donations. It helps us create more videos and give you better content and get the word out. So if you're interested in doing that, you can go ahead and super chat away, but we will answer all questions. It doesn't matter if you super chat or not, we're going to answer your questions. Okay, are you guys ready? We're going to start ahead. Janice, you'll star the stuff, right?
Yes, I'll start starring questions. You've got a bunch already to start with.
All right, so we'll go with the first. This is a super chat from Juliana Betancourt. And the only type of onion I enjoy peeling is SP. Thank you very much, Juliana. I was pleased to be on with her and Clearwater Chad's Micathon or Chatathon last Monday. And Juliana was part of that, and they do a great job. They're never ends. They've never been in Scientology, and they're dedicated watchers of all the channels. So we really appreciate that, Julianne. And we'll go to the next question or comment. Jeanette X, question. Can you confirm that Ron almost never answered the letters sent to him, and that some Sea Org member answered posing as Ron, and that Suzette Hubbard later was in charge of the unit? Janis?
What's this? Can you confirm that Ron almost
never answered the letters sent to him, the SO1 line?
Yes, the SO1 line. We're going to do a whole thing on that with Ken Urquhart. And, but yeah, there's a lot of letters that were not seen by him that were answered by staff. And that actually started at a certain point. So we'll go into a whole subject of that and cover how it was done and who answered it and so forth.
Okay, was Suzette ever in charge of the unit?
Not that I remember her. No, she was in ABC.
Okay.
So she might have had to authorize some of the letters where the people typed up answers, and then Suzette would have had to approve those proposed answers.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jeanette, and we'll get back to you on that. Karen, I was going to ask you real quick. Do you remember the first time you met L. Ron Hubbard? Was it at St. Hill or was it on the ship?
No, on the ship. On the ship.
And what was it like when you met him? And what was the occurrence? What happened?
Well, many people have said this before. He was sort of larger than life. He had a lot of charisma. He was beaming and smiling. And it was, in those days, we really had a kind of shock and awe to be in his presence. Janis had him all day long for hours, every day. So she didn't have that thing. But he was very friendly. And he had a lot of presence. That means he was here in the now. He had his tirades and screaming fits, and Jani has described some of them in her books. He had his temper tantrums and everything, but he could also be incredibly social and likable. He was not, you were not in fear. You hear the ex-community talk about being in fear of David Miscavige arriving while they're waiting for him in the car. They're actually quaking. There was no fear whatsoever to meet Hubbard. You felt great. You felt, wow, here's the
Karen,
big man.
you were highly trained as an auditor. Did he ever compliment you on your auditing ability and your, was he, I know he did case supervising, but did you ever get complimented on your ability as an auditor?
I wasn't just a class 12 auditor. I was a class 12 case supervisor. That's a whole realm even above the auditing, because you're managing the cases. I will tell you that in all the auditing I did on the Apollo, I never got busted. Hubbard personally commended me 12 times in 12 different issues, blue on blue and this and that. And I won an autographed blue e-meter from him for being the Top Gun. I no longer have it. All that stuff is gone. But yeah, when Hubbard commended you in the Ouds was a daily. Nowadays, we send out email for everyone to read. Ouds means orders of the day.
Right.
And if Hubbard commended you in the Ouds, your ethics file was cleared. Didn't matter who wrote anything on you, right, Jenny?
Pretty much.
My ethics file got cleared. Not that I had a huge amount in it, but yes, Hubbard commended me several times publicly, not publicly. I
Yeah.
had 12 different commendations from him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks very much for that answer. Here's another question. This is from Jay Warren. What was Pat Broeker like as a man? Was he not like DM at all?
Correct. A complete dichotomy of DM. Jenny?
Yeah, they were very good friends originally.
Yeah.
Through the earlier years, they were very good friends, and then they became even better friends when Pat would come down from being with LRH and meet DM for mail drops.
Right.
They became very good friends and went out ethics together, a lot of drinking and other stuff going on in Vegas. Pat tends to have a liking for Las Vegas. But yeah, they now he says, what was he like as a man? Was he not like DM at all? No, you know what? Pat was a very courteous person.
He was very warm.
Very warm and friendly. When my dog had puppies, she had 12 puppies, and I'm like on sealed pay. I'm now got to get vet vaccinations for all 12 puppies. Pat goes, hey, I used to train as a vet. I know how to give them their shots. So one day we went off together, going around looking for where we could get wholesale pricing for dog vaccinations. And we got them, and we went back, and Pat vaccinated each of the little puppies for me. But, he would go out of his way to help if he knew how to do it.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that question, Jay. We'll go to the next. I think this is a comment here. Love Food Kitchen. Mofo and Jani, Peel the Onions sounds like such a hit TV show. Yeah, we should be on Netflix, Janis.
Right. See, Karen, you always call me Jenny. Nobody else really knew of that except for, family and messengers would call me Jan or Jenny. And because that was what my mom always called me growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks
And
for that.
now the secret's out.
Another comment here. This is from Jay Warren. I'm known to wear the occasional Hawaiian shirt as well, Mark. Absolutely. You got to rock that Hawaiian shirt. They're comfy and colorful. Thanks very much for that. And then we got another question. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
That's
here.
the same one.
From Jay Warren. Is it true L. Ron Hubbard gave an order that Pat and Annie would succeed him as the loyal officers?
That is for discussion in another video.
Yeah. There's a lot to that story, and we want to do a full video on it because it's very in depth, and the whole takeover by Miscavige of Scientology, the Religious Technology Center, and all that. It's going to be a long video, but it'll be interesting. We've got a lot of information on it. Thanks,
Right.
Jay.
Well, I want to just jump in a really quick
Sure.
here. We were all told when at the end of the week you went to pick up your pay Saturdays. Pay was like $15, $20. I mean, pay on the Apollo was like $12. Anyway, when we went to pick up our pay, we were told, Pat Broeker's birthday is coming up. $15 has been taken out of your pay to give him lessons. He wants to learn to be a pilot. He wants pilot lessons. So you're not asked, do you want to contribute to the birthday? You're just, the money's taken. So, Jay, this is especially for you. The $15 was gone for Pat, and we were happy to contribute to his birthday. 2 weeks later, staff muster, we were told this is, 86, 87. We were told You're getting back your $15. Pat will not be getting pilot lessons. What happened? Stay tuned. Janis and Mark will have a forthcoming video on what happened.
Yeah, I remember that. Hey, thanks, Jay. That's a great question. All right, next one. Oh, Scientology Money Project, Jeffrey Augustine. Hi. Thanks for the super chat, Jeffrey. I really love your special guest, Karen. Can you get me her phone number?
I'll give it to you later, Jeffrey.
Why don't you explain, Janis, who this? That's
Jeffrey,
Karen's significant other, right?
What?
That's Karen's
husband, who is wanting Karen's phone number so he can take her out on a hot date.
Thanks for the super chat, Jeffrey. We appreciate it. We'll go to the next question here from Love Sherlock. Question: where was Karen raised? She has an accent. How did she have the money to pay that $25,000, etc., for the sec checking that you got?
I'm a global art dealer, a Thomas Kincaid art dealer. Well, I didn't have the $25,000, all on credit card, and then you have to pay and pay and pay. When you're suddenly, a lot of people don't have $25,000 just sitting around to give. Do you have $25,000 on the spot? You put it on credit card. I was born in India, and I was raised mostly in London. So,
you were born in India? I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Yes. Calcutta.
I'm bilingual. I speak French and English. And I tried to not have whatever accent is a blend of French, American, British. It's a blend. Many people try to copy it and can't.
Karen, I've known you for over 40 years. I never knew that. I always assumed you were from France.
I used to deliver L's in French.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sort of.
You're multilingual.
Yeah.
So someone's asking, is that when India was under British rule?
When you were born?
Yes.
Yeah. Because your mother was British, right?
Yes.
And your
Welsh.
French? Yes.
Fabulous. Okay, thanks for that question. Next question here we got from Love Food Kitchen. Question: oh, was Follow the former name for the CLO? Yes. There was a Follow in a former convent in Rottingdean, 45-minute drive from St. Hill, and no one seems to know why it was there, as there's no Church of Scientology nearby. Is that correct, Janis?
There was a Follow in former convent in
Rottingdean, 45-minute drive from St. Hill.
I don't know, because I never during my Sea Org years I was never in England.
Okay.
So I don't know where it was.
That rings a bell. They did buy a property there, 45 minutes away, and it was a former convent. Whether they then refurbished it or whether they just dumped it or whatever, but they did buy a former convent. You're 100% right. I remember reading that very well.
Now I'm thinking of it. I vaguely remember that too, but then it was moved back to St. Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that question. We've got a comment from Lofu Kitchen. Is Mofo's Osophile just a constant record of what Hawaiian shirt has been wearing from day one to the next? Tuesday, ugly pink flowers. Wednesday, fancy green leaves and red flowers. Thursday, blue waves. That's funny. No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. We actually know who provided the information. It was another spy that Scientology planted in our universe here in Las Vegas. And the guy was my personal friend for almost 10 years. I talked to him almost every day. And he was a paid Scientology spy. And he was finally outed when the Truth Rundown came out in 2009, when Marty Rathbun told me that there was a guy who they had. And then I went, that's my friend. His name was Ferris Khan. I said, that's my friend Ferris. And I was shocked. So that's when I actually spoke out to the Tampa Bay Times and told them that story. And then he was out of my life at that point. Okay,
know,
go ahead.
no, I think spy stories are very, very interesting and just a
Absolutely.
really good theme. Janis, both you and Janis have the ultimate spy stories. Those would make great
Yeah,
shows.
we should do a show on spy stories.
Yep, spy stories.
We'll get Headley on.
Absolutely. Okay, next question here we got from Lori Pichika. Question, Karen, how did you meet Jeffrey and how long after Scientology?
A couple of years after I had departed, I was reading a lot of the sites, and there was a great site called Operation Clambake, and Jeffrey was writing under the pen name of J. Swift. And I really loved his writing. Anyway, long story short, we met, and did I
You've been
answer your
together
question?
for a long time, yeah.
Yeah, that
And
was
Jeffrey's
about
awesome.
12.
He's an
about,
awesome dude. Yeah.
yeah, it was about 10, 11 years ago. But we kind of knew each other before that. But anyway, we are a very Jeffrey is my beloved, and I'm really blessed at my old age. I'm a lot older than I bet I'm the oldest person, including everybody on the charts. To be at my age, blessed with such a great love of my life is precious. It's really, he's a treasure.
That's great, Karen.
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
I've seen you guys together. You're a great couple, and Jeffrey is so reliable, and so he's always there. He's on it.
Yes. He's also one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. He for not really having been in Scientology, he understands everything. He can ask you a question about something technical or a policy letter, and he understands. I've been interviewed by him 2 or 3 times, and it's always a pleasure because he understands exactly what you're talking about. And his Scientology Money Project, if you guys haven't gone to his site or his channel, definitely do so, because you will get some fantastic information there. So that's our.
I want to just chime in and say something that there's some kind of attitude that certain people have that never ends, or they don't count at all, and rubbish. Graham Berry is the lawyer of 30 years that takes on every case. He's in a league of his own. He's a never in.
Yes.
Jeffrey, actually, it's wrong to say he was never in. He got a lot of sec checks, and he got basic. There was an Israeli guy called Rafi who sat him down at LA Day and said, you're in danger. You're in danger. Time is not kind on the reactive mind. And Jeffrey said, what's the reactive mind? He wanted $12,000 for life repair. And Jeffrey said, you know what? I'm not $12,000 fucked up. I may be $500 fucked up. I'll give you $500. And Jeffrey did have basic LA Day, Los Angeles Day introductory auditing plus some sec checks. So it wasn't really like a thing. Anyway, Jeffrey comes from a background of being a Pentecostal. Pentecostal is a real offshoot of Christianity where, have you seen the holy rollers? They talk in tongues. They roll on the floor and they babble. The Scientology viewpoint is, see, they're talking out of that's an implant dramatization.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeffrey was very, very much indoctrinated, and his empathy for Scientology is because he came out of holy rollers and Pentecostal, and he understood how a cult can indoctrinate deeply into your head. So he started his whole journey of learning everything about it and being a critic. 15 years before I came out, Jeffrey had studied every nook and cranny of Scientology.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you, Lori, for that question. We've got a super chat here from Love Sherlock. Thank you so much, Love Sherlock, for that super chat. Enjoying watching you both and love that you have guests like Karen on with you. We love it too.
Yes.
Thank you, Love Sherlock.
Yeah, thank you, Love Sherlock. We appreciate that. Let's go to the next question here. Hold on a sec here. Here we go. Kolahawak Revis. I always butcher that name. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, sorry about that. Question: what is the difference between a Class 12 and a Class 12 case supervisor in terms of the amount of study and know-how?
Every single level has to be done from the viewpoint of case supervising that level. So every single level, you study a check sheet on how to manage that case, and then you have to do an internship at every level to like redoing it all, but from the viewpoint of others to others. An auditor is counseling a thing, and you've got to see that Hubbard was applied 100%.
Okay.
This is all, I've moved on.
I understand.
Yes.
Scientology have some kind of racket where they say, oh, she's auditing. There's not a single PC. There's no evidence. There's no nothing. But Scientology have a kind of, they can't find a lot of evidence of misconduct. I'm a global art dealer, 7,000 positive feedbacks on eBay, 100% positive on Amazon, not a single complaint of any client, anytime, any place. So they can't really find dirt on me. So the way to depopularize me is to tell the world, she's auditing. Where? To who? Give evidence. Rumor mongering. Bullshit. Take your innuendo and rubbish and throw it in the Milky Way. Makes me angry.
Well, we know they make up lies.
Oh,
yeah.
Manufacture it.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. We got another one here. Supreme Rula question. Great to hear Ken is coming back. That's Ken Urquhart. When do you think that may happen? Janice, do we have an idea of when we're going to do another interview with Ken?
As soon as you and I can get to it. Our schedule's a little backed up we've got some other interviews coming that we've.
It'll be soon though. It'll be soon.
Hey,
thanks very much. We're glad you enjoy the interviews. Ken's got a lot of valuable information. Next question here, also from Kolahawak Rivas. Question: did Karen study the Daytona Beach tape lectures of 1975 and the tech associated with it? What is it about, and does she deliver that tech? I don't even know what that is. Do you know, Karen?
It's the new vitality rundown.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes, I did all that. I did every course known to man or beast.
That was a specialized rundown that they charged at Flag, right? Was it a Flag only in Clearwater?
Yes, it's a Flag only. Yes, it's a Flag. It actually has a lot of Art 3R, which Dianetic Clears supposedly cannot do. Anyway, yes, did I study it? Quite like I studied everything. Single thing Hubbard did. You become a Class 12 CS because you've studied it all. Everything. So yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I already answered, do I deliver? I already answered that previously. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Next question here is from ex-Scientology. Question: Karen, can you tell me where the LA Guardian's office was in late 1978? It was on the first lower level of an underground parking structure somewhere. The door was very nondescript. I met Heber there.
No,
is that the complex? That had to be in Cedars, right?
No, that would have been the B1 office at the complex off the Horseshoe.
Yeah. The Los Angeles Guardian's office was in the manor where they had raided in 1977. The Guardian's office took up 2 floors of what is now Celebrity Center. Huh?
6 and 7 of the manor.
6 and 7 of the manor.
And
Celebrity
part
Center.
of the 5th floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they had B1, which was investigations, and that was the highly confidential. That was over in the Blue Building, when you enter from, what's that one? Anyway, it's off Fountain, and it's the horseshoe entrance that you can drive through. You go in those doors and go to the right where Incom was when I left, but that used to be the investigation, Intel, B1 for the Guardian.
They were doing secret things like Snow White and stuff, so this was all super, super secret.
Yes.
And because they were infiltrating government offices, they were doing everything illegal, a bunch of gangsters. Yeah. And slowly, once they raided, it all came out. Anyway, to answer the question precisely, the you didn't ask United States Guardian Office, you asked Los Angeles Guardian Office.
Yes.
When we answered the question that it was the MENA, that was
US.
the continental of the whole of the United States. Jenny answered your question on the LA Guardian Office.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that question. We got some more technical questions here, Janis. This is from Martin Ottman, who used to be in the C organization, I think. A question for Karen: what are the special TRs that the Class 12 auditors supposedly use to audit the L's, according to the promo from Flag?
Oh, Martin, there's a special technique where it would be kind of hard to give you a class on special TRs in one sentence in a thing. Can you email me and I'll send you? Email me at Karen Delac, Karen DELAC @gmail.com. I'll be happy to send you the reference there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks very much, Karen. Thanks, Martin, for that question. Next question is Japan of Green Gables. Question: did any of you know Nibs Hubbard personally, or had he left by the time you joined Scientology? If you knew him, what was he like? Did Ron ever talk about him? That was way before my time. How about you, Janis?
I never met Nibs, but I heard of Nibs. I was in Hubbard's office when Mary Sue came in to talk about Nibs, because I think he had just done an interview with Penthouse. And so Mary Sue had come in with that. And then, of course, LRH told me to close the door. So he then had a private conversation with Mary Sue about Nibs. But that's how I first heard of him.
Okay. How about you, Karen? You never met him, right? He was gone by then, right?
No. Yeah. I do know that he was working with Paulette Cooper.
Yeah.
And he gave Paulette Cooper a lot of data. And then the cult gave him cash. And he flip-flopped. One day he was Paulette Cooper's friend. The next day he was writing affidavits that everything he told previously was lies. He flip-flopped back into the arms of the cult.
Yeah, and actually Nibs worked very closely with Bent Corridon in writing his book, Madman or Messiah.
Yes.
Bent worked with Sarah Hubbard on that as well.
Yes.
And Nibs. And then Nibs got paid off on that one too, to not be part of it.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Next question here. Again, Chiliak, I'm going to get at some point. Revis, why did Pat Broeker say on the LRH death event that he and Annie had notes to make the OTs 9 to 15 levels? Okay, I got a picture. I'm going to show this here. Okay, that's Pat Broeker holding up a worksheet from L. Ron Hubbard at that death event, right? And the point he was trying to make was that's a date. L. Ron Hubbard was dating something on the meter, and those are all zeros. In other words, how many years ago something was, and he was trying to basically impress the fact that Hubbard was going way back on the time track. Okay, we'll go into this when on the Pat takeover, but basically Hubbard left. He had all of his auditing files and everything. He had filing cabinets full of just his PC folders, auditing folders on himself when he was on the go or on the run with Pat and Annie, okay? And that supposedly was where all the OT8, OT9, and the other OT levels were. And they had to get those back from Pat Broeker before they could basically take over RTC, because they were concerned because Pat had them hidden. Anyway, that's a long story, but I was there when they actually received them. I got a phone call. I had to open up a vault room at the gold base, and nobody was to know what was going on. And they wheeled in all these filing cabinets, and I was the only person that had the lock and key to that special room. So anyway, once they got that, then they could get rid of these guys, because they thought, well, this has all of the information, right? But it was just Hubbard's auditing notes. It was nothing, from my understanding, where he laid out step by step, this is what you do. And that's why they've never been able to come up with anything. Do you have any information, Karen or Janis?
Well, this is something I think we should discuss later on, so I don't want to go into what I know.
Yeah. That's just a brief information that I have to whet your appetite for our next video. Okay, thanks very much for that. Martin Ottman has another question for Karen. Were you aware that many of the top tech personnel at the FSO were chronically sick, were on medication, and used auditing to have a temporary relief of pain in the early 1990s?
Martin, I did hear from this. There was a girl called, not Greta. There was a girl who was a NOTS auditor who came out on Marty's blog, who I became very friendly with. She was a NOTS auditor for years. She was formerly an RTC actual tech inspector, and she ended up as a NOTS auditor. And she did say many times that top tech personnel were ill, and they were on medication, just as you say. So your question is right on the nose. You see, Martin, they have techniques of finding out who's suppressing you for you to get ill. But nobody ever can say, David Miscavige is I'm PTS too. You can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't name your senior. You can't name a good hat. You can never really get it off your chest who you feel is opposing you or punishing you. That's off limits. So in a way, although technology is supposed to let you be cathartic and get it off your chest, there's certain things you cannot say in auditing. And you cannot name a good hat. A good hat means a good person.
Right.
And say that person is suppressing me. Can't do it.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Martin.
Thanks, Martin. Janis, don't star anymore, okay? We're going to go through the ones we have here, because we'll be here all night.
It's already, it's 1:27.
Yeah, I know. We've got some we've got to have finished answering. This is from Theta Bob. Thank you so much, Theta Bob, for the super chat. Late to the chat. Karen, you are such a bright light. I didn't realize you were a Class 12 CS. Do you think we will ever see Heber again?
Oh.
We hope so.
Heber is in his twilight segment of his life. And it's very interesting. I don't know that we'll ever see Heber again. But it's very interesting. They've never gotten Heber to say one bad word about me. And I have a channel with 12.7 million views, and I've never said one negative word about Heber. I really have respected, and there is nothing bad to say about Heber. It's not like what's not to like. So I don't think we ever will. Thank you, Theta Bob, for asking that. Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll go for the next one here. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, this is from IMDA Culture. IMDA Culture. Love Sherlock. Do you think that Shelley's mentally and physically up to it after all these years off lines?
Up to what?
I don't know. Is she mentally and physically up to it after all these years off?
I would.
Like, in other words, is she weak or is she?
Any response would just have to be an assumption.
Yeah.
So I don't want to answer that, because I'd have to just assume.
Okay. Next question here. Thank you for that. We got Martin Ottman again. Question for Karen. How many of the Els auditors from the late 80s are still in? Do you know the current whereabouts of John and Peggy Eastman?
John and Peggy Eastman are up at gold. John was busted off all tech lines and made into a driver, a bus driver.
Wow.
And he's been a bus driver for a lot of years. The Els auditors of the late 1980s, slowly some of them passed away. So-and-so died, and so did you remember Miriam Lalou, the girl who helped with the translation of DMSMH?
Yeah.
French girl. She died of cancer, and a couple of others they just died off, or if they're still alive, they're in their 80s.
Yeah, they're in their older age. Yeah.
They're still being made to audit nonstop without a day off. I always think of cows who are being milked endlessly with never a day off. Just they have to eat and produce milk in factory farming. Right. I think that the class 12s are factory farmed older. Marlon Gelfand is now an FES if she's still alive. Marlon must be 92, 93. They you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
look at me, Martin, look at me. I'm not in that. Look at me. I still go 4 miles a day. Healthy as a horse. Not a pain, not an ache, not a pimple, I left the cult and got extreme help with the vitamins from Peter Gillham's vitamins.
And my father.
There you go.
Exercise, vibrancy, life, and helping animals. My passion is helping animals and animal abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Martin. Write to me. Let's become pen friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Ex-Scientology question is Karen OT8.
I was sent the OT8 materials. I did, to my chagrin, OT7 for years. I was they call it on the level. I believed it all. But to answer your question, no, I didn't do OT8. However, I have all the OT8 materials. They were sent to me. Did you know that OT8 has 5 different versions? Can you imagine Hubbard bringing out an OT level of...
Yeah.
What happened is 5 different OT8s got together in a kind of party, and they compared notes.
Yeah.
Holy cow! They had a different OT8 than the other person's OT8.
Yeah, and that's another story for a video. The maiden voyage of the free winds and the release of OT8.
Why don't you get me back just to get through what OT8? Well, let's discuss it. Discuss
we have to have you back because there's several subjects we need to keep discussing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thanks very much for that question. We got another one here from Japan of Green Gables. What are the craziest Captain Bill Robertson stories you have?
Ooh, that's a video.
Yeah, Captain Bill's a video on his own.
One thing he did do, just to give it to you in quick 2 minutes, he was the commanding officer of AOLA. And he would invite all the staff up onto the roof to look for what we call UFOs. And they would ordered by Captain Bill to dress up in black ninja costume and go and raid psychiatrist offices and pull out the medical records.
Yep. Those stories that story is in my book.
Yes, my Janis book.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, next question here. Thanks for that question. Let's see here. This one I'm going to answer it real quickly. Japan of Green Gables question. Saw in Freedom Magazine article, Marty's ex-wife said after he returned after having blown, he worked at some place called The Mill. What and where is The Mill? It's a furniture where they make furniture, and the one in LA is in the complex at Cedars, the hospital, the Big Blue. And basically they mass produce furniture for Scientology organizations for David Miscavige's ideal orgs, So that's what The Mill is. Thanks for that question. Supreme Rula question. Karen, Do you know what artworks Scientology owns that are of note, real quality? I'm interested, as I guess the public won't get to see them.
Mm-mm. They don't. They paid Frank Frazetta
Right.
and other artists to make paintings for Mission Earth. The reason is a heck of a lot of L. Ron Hubbard's personal cash, his millions, were invested in oil, and the
By
and
Pat Broeker and David Miscavige, and that's another story for another time.
yeah. Anyway, these artists were paid just to make images. They don't own artwork. Okay. Thank you for the question, Supreme Ruler.
Okay, great. And then we're almost done here. Let's see. This is a comment from Joel McCoy. Comment: Karen is the first person who I listen to. She is a wonderful source of the truth and nothing but. Great to have her. Great to have her here, Mark. Like your shirt, right, Janis?
Thank you,
Right,
Joel.
Mark?
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
Right, Joel?
Next one, question, love, food kitchen question. Is Karen going to write a book? I'm absolutely fascinated about her life. We heard so much about her time in the Church of Scientology and after, but it sounds like she's had an incredible life.
You know, I'm not really a writer. So Jeffrey's maybe will write the book, but every story I have, I put on YouTube. YouTube is really good. Long after you're dead and gone, I'm dead and gone. Those videos, Janis and Mark's videos, they're on there forever. I know certain people who are dead now, but they interviewed with me, and their video is right there on my channel and on their channel.
Right.
So, anyway, your question was on book. I don't know that I'm a writer. Janis is the writer. Book
Exactly.
3 on the horizon. Look.
Yeah, I was going to
Janis.
comment, Karen. I'm with you. I been asked many times, "Are you going to write a book?" And this YouTube channel is allowing me to tell my stories, you know,
Yes.
and it's me personally telling them, where people can listen to them as a podcast or watch them on
Yeah.
YouTube. And I couldn't really go into more detail in a book. And plus, you know, so we're giving this out for free, basically. You know, people can listen to this. That's not to discount people who write books. You know, Janis has got tremendous detail in her books and great stories that we haven't talked about. And you really get a feeling of what it was like on the Flagship Apollo with Janis' books. So I encourage people to read them. But for me personally, I just plan on continuing doing the channel.
Yeah, I know I have to finish book 3, but I'll tell you, I enjoy doing the YouTube way more than sitting there at a computer typing and trying to, you know, and get everything in sequence.
I also want to tell you that with artificial intelligence, there are huge breakthroughs where dead people can talk to you. Did you know that you could go online and talk to Socrates? You could ask
No.
Socrates questions. Colleges and universities, dead people, they've like, my voice can be captured, and then you can speak from the dead answering questions. They're using this more and more. So
I will remember that when I die. I will speak from the dead.
Okay, great. We got 2 left here. We've got a super chat from Veronica Bombria. Thank you so much, Veronica. I'm never in, but have been following for 30 plus years. Love to hear you all and your experiences. Is there anything you can recommend to help the elders out of there? I guess meaning the elderly.
Help get them out. Yeah, Mark and Claire did a whole thing on the elder abuse of the elderly that's in there. And I heard they have some elderly homes set up in Los Angeles, which I heard are not that great.
I would love to see a reporter, you know, do some investigation into these elderly homes where, you know, old Sea Org members are, you know, gone. I mean, back in the day, that was what reporters did. You know, they investigated abuses And you would think that like a nursing home or something like that, that's outside of the walls of, the Church of Scientology, meaning like not with security guards and things like that, that maybe they could get in there and talk to the workers or talk to somebody and find out what's really going on. I think that exposure would definitely help,
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then we got one more here. Michael Feldman, question, Karen, I greatly admire.
Question?
Well, there's no question. He's just
he's just saying he greatly admires you.
Michael, thank you. Thank you kindly. You're so sweet. Thank you.
Okay, that's all the questions for today. Karen, we want to thank you for being here. Before we go, we want to tell everybody, please subscribe to our channel. Slam or smack or whatever it is Janis says, that subscribe button, the like button, the notification button. And anybody who's new here, please, we've got about 35% of the people watching are new. So, go ahead and subscribe. We've got some great content. We've got historical content that's still on our channel now that you may have missed, but you can always go back and watch it because Janis has got fantastic photos, many of which, or some of which, thanks to Karen, right, Janis?
Yeah. Karen gave me a lot of photographs that she'd collected over the years.
That's right. She helped me with
hundreds and hundreds.
Yes.
Yeah.
See old photos. Also, Mark, can you just mention that my channel isn't called Karen de la Carriere, it's called Surviving Scientology.
Okay, great. Well, then Karen's got a channel, Surviving Scientology. You should subscribe and like and hit notifications for that as well. And you'll hear lots of great things from Karen. She has great interviews. Karen, you just did one with Kate Bernstein recently.
Yeah.
You told me that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and then also if you have questions that we didn't answer, you go to the comment section for this video and please ask them in there. Janis and I look at those things. I look at them 4 or 5 times a day and we will answer any question you've got. So just go to the comment section and you can ask away.
Right.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, Karen or Janis, before we go?
I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
I just want everyone to know we will have Karen back.
Absolutely.
So
we got lots to talk
being
about.
notified and you'll find out when.
Thank you, Jenny.
Karen, thanks very much. And tell Jeffrey thank you. And we really appreciate it. I'm going to we're going to play the exit video here, but please stay on, Karen, because we'll talk to you as soon as we get off the air, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay. Thing. Hey, thanks very much, everybody. Bye. Hope you have a great weekend, a great 4th of July in the United States. Thanks very much.